Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little black subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that black subscribe button. Really does help our audience grow, really does help our channel grow, really does help and mean more than you could possibly know. So go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Also, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet 50 on any game, get $250 in free bets. Thank you again to Betfred. Thank you again to you. Now, here's the video that you came here for. So I know we traditionally talk portal more than we do high school stuff here on this show, but I do think this high school player was of particular note for a couple reasons. So let's start with him. Let's get into him. The high school player was a player named Simeon Wilcher, 6'4" guard, about a top 30 or so prospect, 4-star out of the New Jersey area. Now, a lot of you probably sitting there saying, Torres, top 30 prospect, what does it mean? Why are we talking about him? Well, he was committed to North Carolina up until about two and a half weeks ago, but decided to reopen his recruitment when a kid by the name of Elliot Cadeau, a 5-star from the class of 2024, reclassified and ended up at Carolina. So why do I bring it up? It is because on Monday, he made his official college commitment, decided where he is going to end up, and, drumroll please, he ended up at, say it with me now, baby, Big Rick Energy. That is right, Simeon Wilcher, 6'4" guard, top 30 prospect, became the highest-rated recruit to commit to St. John's in over a decade. And all I got to tell you, you know where I'm going to go. You know what I want to say. But Big Rick freaking Energy. Get your t-shirt link in the bio in the show description. Big Rick Energy, St. John's. Listen, I literally led the St. John's Pitino hype train. And even I am blown away by what this guy has done, what he has meant to this program in a short amount of time. And I think this Simeon Wilcher decision, even though he's not the prototypical 5-star one and done, I think this is a big metaphorical recruiting win for St. John's that cannot be overstated. So let's get into it. First of all, as I said, really good player, about 6'4", from the state of Jersey, had been committed to Carolina forever. But as I said, stuff changes, things change, circumstances change. And when they took another high school guard from the class of 2024, this kid decided, I need to reopen my recruitment. Once he got into, once he became available, it really wasn't, I think Seton Hall fans, I guess there's a Seton Hall St. John's thing that happened on social media, but it felt like St. John's was always the lean, and it makes sense to me from a lot of perspectives. This kid is very talented, but I don't think he is a one-and-done prospect, and I think you can literally argue that if you're not going to be a one-and-done, but you're probably good enough to play in the NBA, I think there's two coaches above everybody else that you want to play for in college basketball. One is Bill Self, who has an incredible track record with 2, 3, 4-year college players. And the other is the Hall of Famer, Rick Pitino. Nobody, I believe, has a better eye for talent and can see talent where it doesn't exist more than Rick Pitino. Now, it's not totally fair with this particular kid because he was committed to Carolina, so obviously we know how talented he is. But you look at Pitino's track record, Donovan Mitchell at Louisville, Francisco Garcia at Louisville, Gorgie Jang at Louisville, who played a bunch of years in the NBA, some of those old school Kentucky guys going back to when he was there in the late 90s. This guy knows talent, can identify talent, and if you are going to be a 2 to 3 year college player, I would argue this is the spot you want to go to. So Elliot Cadeau is going to Elliot Cadeau is going to Carolina. Simeon Wilcher is going to St. John's, and on top of just who he is, I believe I have three kind of opinions about this move and what it means for St. John's and this program going forward. So let's get into them. One, I'll tell you this. I think this officially establishes, this being Simeon Wilcher's commitment, officially establishes St. John's as a preseason top 25 team this year. Imagine if I had said, the day that St. John's lost to whatever it was, Marquette in the Big East tournament, or the day they played their final Big East regular season game, I said, next year, St. John's, we're all going to kind of be in agreement that they're a top 25 team going into next year. You would not have believed me, but that's where I'm at with this team. Now, Simeon Wilcher is just a piece. Again, very nice player. But you look at what Rick Pitino has done, it's unbelievable. I'm not going to go through the whole depth chart. We've done it 2 or 3 times on this show over the course of the offseason. But Jordan Dingle, second leading scorer in all of college basketball last year in the Ivy League. Was it a legit, I don't want to say he was an NBA draft prospect, but maybe a second rounder. Now he's coming to the Big East. This is a guy that's going to be able to get buckets in the Big East and be the star of a very good team at St. John's. You have Joel Soriano, who was already an all Big East caliber player. You just probably don't know about him if you're not a St. John's fan because of the fact that you never paid attention to St. John's. This kid is really good, 6'11". He is going to be one of the best big men in college basketball next year. There's other nice pieces. Glenn Taylor, a guard from Oregon State, big guy, can play on, off the ball, all that good stuff. You have RJ Luis, a guy that kind of has, again, that NBA frame, length, and body. The perfect spot for him is St. John's. You have a couple nice pieces that have come from Iona. So when I look at this team, and I look who's coaching it, and I look at the track record that that gentleman has in producing high-level successful squads, this is a preseason top 25 team. This is a team that should make the NCAA tournament. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that I believe that there is a scenario, and a very good scenario, a very likely scenario, in which St. John's potentially wins its first NCAA tournament game since the year 2000, as crazy as it sounds. More importantly, though, and this is kind of, to me, the main bullet point, if you take nothing else out of this clip on YouTube or this podcast download, take this. To me, this is the single most important commitment that Rick Pitino has got. Not because he's going to be their best player next year, that will probably be Jordan Dingle, but because it is a high-level impact guy from the New York tri-state area. And there's this like big thing of like, oh, New York doesn't produce players like it used to. Well, listen, I don't know if New York produces players in the same way that it did 4 or 5 decades ago, frankly. I don't know if guys are, I'm not trying to be, what's the right word here? But listen, I don't think they play on the playgrounds as much anymore. I don't think they go to some of the high schools that they used to. But do not tell me that the New York City area does not produce talent. Just in this recruiting class alone, think about this recruiting class right here, right now, 2024. Mackenzie Mbako, New Jersey high school star in the tri-state area, committed to Indiana. DJ Wagner from Jersey. I know it's South Jersey, but it's still Jersey. It's a 2-hour drive up to New York City, maybe a little bit more. Don't judge me on my geography. From Camden, New Jersey. Aaron Bradshaw, 6'11", from Camden, New Jersey, along with DJ Wagner. They're both going to Kentucky. So just think about that. I just listed, 4 top 10 prospects. Oh, by the way, Elliot Cadeau, the kid I mentioned, who is going to North Carolina from Jersey. I think I just mentioned 4 top 10 prospects that are either going to Kentucky, Indiana, or North Carolina next year, all from either New York or New Jersey. So don't tell me this area doesn't produce talent. But now what is fascinating is this. Simeon Wilshire is the first one that said, you know what? Where I want to be and where I need to be, the best place for me is to stay home in the tri-state area and go to St. John's. And it's for all the reasons that we've said. It's for the player development. It's for be the part of a rebuild under Rick Pitino. It's play in the world's most famous arena at Madison Square Garden, your home game. This was the first guy to say yes, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Again, I'm not saying that New York City, that it's 1974 and you can find a future NBA player under every corner, but there is still so much talent in this area. Just think about the fact, listen, there is a reason that Duke makes it a priority to play a game every year in Madison Square Garden. There is a reason that Kentucky plays one game every year in New York City. There's a reason that North Carolina, when Hubert Davis got the job, decided they want to play once a year at Madison Square Garden or in the New York City area. It is because the talent there still matters. Recruiting there still matters. And if you're North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky, you want to keep a presence, you want to keep a pipeline, the talent is there. But now St. John's and the local school is a legitimate option. This is just so big and so interesting and so fascinating. And finally, let me just say this. This is why when you have a chance to make a program-changing hire in college sports, you have to do it, okay? So my last thought is, listen, I was the number one Pitino hype train guy, Big Rick energy, all that good stuff. But at the same time, This is why when you have a chance to do something that can change the trajectory of your program, it is because, and by the way, not just your program, but when it's in basketball or football, maybe some other sports, it's not just your athletic, it's not just your basketball or football program. It's your school, it's your athletic department, it's the local area. It's why you have to make these hires when the opportunity presents themselves. I know that Rick Pitino doesn't have a perfect past, by the way, most of which he's been cleared from by the NCAA. But at the same time, one, he has been cleared. Two, and that was, by the way, why I said from the beginning, hire him St. John's, don't even think about it. But two, look at the energy that he has created. Look at the number of season tickets that people are signing up for. Look at the recruits that are willing to play. Look at the transfers that are willing to play. And at the end of the day, you cannot put a value on what a great coach does for your university or excitement around your fan base. And don't worry about if people are going to criticize you or don't like the hire. I'll give you a quick side story because I want to move on. I was watching a little college baseball on Sunday night. LSU beat Kentucky to advance to the Super Regionals, okay? And I thought, or to advance to the College World Series. And I thought about this. LSU in the last 20 months, under 2 years, has hired not only a coach that has them back in Omaha in baseball, they've hired Kim Mulkey in basketball and Brian Kelly in football, okay? Why do I bring it up? It was because when Kim Mulkey got hired, remember the famous, she took off her mask and threw it down, and oh my God, Kim Mulkey, she's such an evil human being, and oh my God, she's the worst person ever. Guess what? She won a natty in year 2. LSU women's basketball is on fire. Angel Reese is one of the biggest stars in women's college basketball. Nobody cares anymore. People got mad about it for a day, and now all Kim Mulkey's doing is winning natties, okay? Brian Kelly, oh, I don't know. Should you hire him? Is he the right guy? Duh. Well, guess what happened? Brian Kelly won 10 games last year, and some believe they have the best team in the SEC West this coming season. So I bring it up because, listen, we have high-level people, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just stating it as a fact. We have high-level people in college athletics that listen to this show. Very high-level people. I'm not telling you how to do your job. And I'm not saying that Hall of Famers fall out of the sky all the time like they did for St. John's and Rick Pitino. But when you have a chance to get one of these guys, don't hesitate. Or girls in the case of a women's coach in whatever sport. Go do it. Go pay whatever. Go do whatever. Go turn over whatever leaves. Don't worry about a day of bad PR if the person has a little bit of a questionable background, whatever. Go get the guy. Go get the girl that makes the difference, because you cannot put a price tag on this. You cannot put a price tag on what Rick Pitino has already done for St. John's. And oh, by the way, what is going to continue this season at Madison Square Garden.